Okay, so my next question is about the theme for this year's International Women's Day. This year's theme is break the bias. Break the bias. So wherever you find yourself, how you paving way for other, as a leader in your space, a woman leader in your space, how you paving the way for other young girls that are trying to be like you, look up to you rather. So how do you want to break the bias to help forge more gender equal world in your space? That's the question now. I'll start with Kevin.
Thank you very much, Ikeme. You see, there's prejudice literally everywhere you go. You know, one of those examples had been stated earlier. And the only way to break that bias is just to prove everybody wrong. Not because you need to prove anybody wrong. You have to keep pushing yourself to outdo your past. I mentor girls every now and then, and I'm talking girls up to ladies and to women. And what I tell them all the time is that if there's anyone that can limit you, it's actually you. You know, it's not the society, it's not the environment, it's not the community. You're the only one that can limit yourself. So if you want to prove to yourself that you can do it, then just do it. Not because you want to prove to someone else, but as you are proving to yourself that you can do it, then someone is looking at you and is wondering, okay, I never knew this woman was this much, you know, or knew or could do this much. So it's really about, you know, breaking boundaries, is about going beyond your comfort zone. I'm listening to all these women and they wear different hats. We're probably going to get to that point where we're talking about the different hats we all wear. But I always say that women excel at literally anything they put their minds to. That's just breaking bias. Because some people will tell you, oh, okay, women can't do this, women can do that, women can't do this. But guess what? There's no field in human endeavor today that women haven't broken records, as in no field. And that just tells you that the only limitation, the only bias, the only prejudice comes in other people's minds. And we need to continue to tell ourselves that, guess what? It doesn't really matter. You continue to be a better version of you, and then the bias no longer exists.
Great. It's basically in your mind. Thank you so much. Okay, Joy would hear from you. How do you want to break the bias and pave way for the people looking up to you, for the women and children, girls looking up to you to be like you someday?
Okay, if I say bias is just prejudice. So to break the bias, what are the types of biases that we see in the workplace? And when you say break, it means that it is a barrier. The bias is a barrier. So for you to be able to break it, it means that you have to do something really forceful. First of all, I have to understand what those biases are. Where I work now, I will say to a large extent, the issue of bias is actually at the background. We don't really experience it so much, but then where I work is different. You have biases outside the office place, in the office place, and some are conscious, some are unconscious. So we have biases like age bias, education bias, affinity bias. So you see somebody that's, okay, maybe you came from the same old girls, you went to the same secondary school. If you then have the opportunity to say, okay, I want to recruit somebody, and you look at her CV, you say, oh, I want to recruit this person because we are from the same, you know, alma mater, thereabout. So things like that, we have to be really conscious of it and look at merits whenever we want to take any decision. As much as possible, some biases are unconscious. When you want to take a decision, think twice. This decision that I'm taking, I, for one, what I do, I think twice. I say, this decision that I'm taking, is it going to be in the overall interest of the organization? Is it going to be in the overall interest of everyone that is involved? So that whatever biases that you have against an individual, against an age group, against a gender, if you are very, very conscious of it, then you'll be able to break it. So you find there was a story I read, was it yesterday, when I was trying to, look up on these biases. Somebody brought up a story and said, oh, there is this lady that was a beauty queen, and another one who they just took some pictures while another one was wearing an academic gown, looking very educated. And they then asked, if you are to employ any of these two people, who will you employ? Everybody chose the person who wore the academic gown, and they left the beauty queen. But one person now said, oh, I will take the beauty queen because I will take her to be my sales rep, because she will promote my sales department. But at the end of the day, now find out that this lady that was wearing the academic gown, she was actually a murderer. So just looking at photographs alone, we are already making a decision. We are biased towards the person who seemed very educated. But then if we have stepped back and really look at the big picture, look at the details, then we'll be able to make justifiable decisions. So what I want to say, be conscious of it. If you have to take a decision that involves gender, step back and really look at what is really important to you before you take that decision. And also in the workplace, if you identify any situation where somebody is showing bias against another person, please call it out. Call it out. Do not keep quiet. If they say, oh, this role, like in the HR department, they will say it's meant for only women. No, why do you want to have only women in HR? Or in the engineering department, it's only men? Why do you want to have people in engineers that are men only, when we have female engineers applying for this same job? So call it out and be an advocate against those biases. Thank you.
Thank you. I really like that. Okay, Blessing, it's your turn.
Yeah, I would like to say that, to acknowledge, first of all, that the other two speakers have spoken very well. And I just make some additions from what they have said. The gender equality, first and foremost, an understanding of that will enable us know how to break those biases that come from gender. Because I believe this bias now is referring to gender, bias about gender. Like one of my colleagues spoke about various types of bias, but right now we're focused on the bias concerning gender. So we have to, create an environment.
Sorry, if I may come in, IWD, in as much as they're talking about breaking the bias, I don't think it's actually against only gender. There are several biases that we encounter in the workplace, and we shouldn't just focus on gender, because if we focus on gender alone, then we are also missing the men, and we need the men as well to be able to create that balanced world. So the focus, I don't think IWD is focusing on only bias against gender. Other biases should be called out because they are equally important.
Okay, I note what you have said, but I'm trying to refer to the gender of men and women. Gender includes a man or a woman. So I wanted to specifically talk on that. I'm not really saying that the scope is not, what you have said is not in the scope, but I want to talk about the gender of male and female in the workplace. Some companies, like where I work, already encourage this gender equality. So it makes life very easy for me at work. That acceptability needs to be there. So I am lucky to be working in a place where it is already accepted. In my neighborhood, or where I worship, or in the community I belong, maybe it's not acceptable. But I am now trying to point out that acceptability of the gender equality is a starting point for the breaking of the barriers. If there's an acceptability, understanding, and recognition of that, it now helps to integrate all the things we need for the gender equality to work, or for the bias against gender to be eradicated. This bias comes in terms of, like one of the speakers mentioned, the kind of job. You say this job is not for a woman, this job is for a man. If we recognize that everybody has equal opportunity and equal capability to what goes, it will make that atmosphere a bias broken atmosphere, because everybody accepts that what Joy can do, that John can also do it. So these jobs can be left like that for people to do based on capacity and based on merit, based on recognition, not based on any bias that, okay, gender bias or age bias or religious bias, you know. So like that, we can break the bias. Then I want to talk about some other area whereby even the gender, maybe me as a woman, I'm the one doing a disservice to myself by believing that, oh, because I'm a woman, I can't do this. And the same way, a man in a workplace who believes, oh, I can never get promoted. I have 4 females I'm working with. I'm the 5th person in that department. And my boss, who will determine the promotion, likes to chat with these ladies more than he chats with me. You know, that's already a bias. He thinks that, okay, promotion will not come to him. He's not looking at merit driven. He's not looking at capacity. Mm-hmm. He's not looking at develop yourself and be professional and dish what you're made of, you know. So if we encourage that, if we get an environment that encourages or recognizes diversities and inclusion, that does nobody want to, because some bias or barrier, as you can call it, is inbuilt. The person that is even thinking, I'm not fit for this. The woman is thinking, oh, I'm a female. You know, the first speaker, the very first person, talked about how, you know, the ratio of education. The ratio of education that it favors men more than women. So you find out that women are not moving into the system at a speed that men are moving into. Mm-hmm. But even if that's the case, let the women folk, let the gender that is woman gender recognize that I have a lot of development to do on myself. I have a lot of commitment to also show on the job. People should not be giving me off every day from work just because I'm a woman, I have a family. No, bring the professionalism to the table. Bring the fact that you're a human being with capacities to the table. Forget about your gender. So when they compete based on capacity and professionalism, the bias will not be there, because what you could do, another person could do it, and the basis of decision is taken on that what people produced, and not who they are, what gender are they, or what age are they. So these are the
I really
contribution
like
I like to make in that.
Okay, I thought you were going to say something else. Thank you. Very, very valid points. Very, very all valid points.